time to look at the best waiver wire pickups for this week in fantasy baseball, including the grand return of one of baseball's most prolific hitters. But first, let's get to a couple of rookies that you need to know about. One of the hottest pickups right now is going to be Luis Matos of the San Francisco Giants. Groomed to be the future center fielder for this team, he's been biding his time in the minors, and you know what? It did him some good. This is somebody who has a great hit tool, but the plate discipline just wasn't there. He was striking out too much, and this year he's finally figured it out. He's cut down his swinging strike rate a ton, and it so far has translated into his brief stint in the majors. His first 4 games, 5 walks, and no strikeouts. That's impressive for any hitter these days, honestly, but for a rookie who's getting a shot and facing teams like the Dodgers, that's kind of amazing. He is doing some things with a stick as well. Had 2 RBIs and a double on Sunday night against the Dodgers. I mean, this guy has a ton of talent. Now, not a massive power ceiling. You're not getting a slugger here, so don't expect a huge boost in home runs necessarily. And of course, playing in San Francisco, that's definitely not the best place to try to go long. This is someone who looks like he is finally ready for the show. You know, the Giants always have guys who are banged up, so Matos is someone to scoop up right now in redraft leagues. In keeper leagues, he's probably already taken. Now another rookie who looks like he's finally getting an extended look. We saw Bo Naylor, catcher for the Cleveland Guardians, up a little earlier in the season, but didn't really get a shot to do anything. Well, the Guardians finally, wisely, cut ties with Mike Zunino, who looks like his time in the majors is done. And Naylor's going to get a chance to hold down the catching job. Yep, he's going to be the starter. Cam Gallagher, just a backup there. Now, Naylor does present that power upside you want, especially at the catching position. He had 13 home runs in the minors and 217 at-bats just this year. Last year, across 2 levels, 21 home runs. The usual caveat applies. He's a rookie. Be patient, give him some time. But again, I'm going to point back to Francisco Alvarez of the Mets, someone who, when he first came up, was struggling big time, striking out a ton, not doing anything, and now he's swatting home runs all the time. So Naylor, definitely worth adding. If you're in a 2-catcher league, he's almost a must-add. You're looking for a name that's resurfacing here, an outfielder in Detroit who has just come back from injury and is just smashing the ball. Matt Vierling. Remember, he was with Philadelphia last year, didn't really get consistent playing time. He's bounced from first base to outfield and then kind of exiled in Detroit. Well, he's got a path to playing time. That's the good news. And he was really good, if you remember, in April, and then really bad in May, and then went to the IL. So a lot of people just forgot about him, didn't bother to stash him. Well, ever since he's come back, he's ripping it up. Last week alone, he was 3rd among all hitters with hard hit balls, 70% clip. He's gone 9 for 21 with 3 home runs in that time. So his June numbers are already looking really good. If you look at his season-long stats, his expected batting average is in the 90th percentile. What you have to like about Vierling's profile too, he gives you power, he does give you speed, he's a very fast guy, and he's hitting for average. I mean, it's hard to expect a full-fledged breakout season from anybody in that Tigers lineup and playing in that stadium. But if he can stay healthy, he has a very appealing fantasy profile. And a very similar player is in Texas. This is a guy I've liked for years, and finally it looks like this is the season. It's all coming together for Leody Taveras. I remember 2 years ago, I was picking him up. I was so excited to see him get into the big club, and he just did nothing. I mean, the speed, sure, speed's always been there, but he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Fast forward to 2023, his expected batting average is in the 95th percentile. And last week, he was 7th in hard hit balls with 10 just last week alone. That's among all hitters. And this is a guy who's really just supposed to be a speedster. Well, this year, he's got 7 stolen bases and 8 home runs. In the past 2 weeks alone, he has 6 home runs. Don't think it's an exaggeration to say that if we see him stick in the lineup the rest of the season, he could go 20-20. Remember, at the beginning of the year, he wasn't even in the regular lineup. This Rangers offense is going to be dangerous the rest of the way, and Taveras is going to be a part of it. I would love to see him hit higher in the order. I don't think it's going to happen with all the firepower they already have, but still, this guy can help you across the board. Definitely worth adding in any league. And then let's talk about a guy who just continues to go under the radar. That's Austin Hayes of Baltimore, another outfielder who's helping you out in pretty much every category. Maybe not standing out in one particular, Oh wait, he is. He's hitting 320 on the season. And we're not talking about a remotely small sample size either. He's had 241 at-bats because he's been in the lineup almost every day since opening day. 38 runs, 31 RBIs, a few homers, not too much in terms of speed, but still, this is a guy who's finally developed into a professional hitter. And we know Baltimore's offense has been a lot better this year. For him, really, it's not even a matter of getting a better eye. His plate discipline is kind of the same. He's just lifting the ball more, higher fly ball rate, getting more out of the balls he does hit, and he's hitting the ball harder. So just that consistency, the time it took. Hayes is someone who isn't the most exciting, but you need to accumulate, especially in a roto league. You just want those stats. The guy who's going to be in there every day, give you that production. He's doing it. And I do have one more hitter to talk about, but I'm going to save him for later because I want to get to the pitchers first. So let's start with a guy who I have been on for years and just let me down and just can't stay healthy either. Is it finally time to buy back into Griffin Canning, the pitcher for the Angels? Let me tell you what I like about him, and I've been talking about him for 2-3 years now. He's somebody who has a nice 4-pitch mix, and he uses them all effectively. He's not going to blow you away with heat. I mean, he can get up to 95 in the fastball, but I love his pitch selection, the way he works the zone. He just has had so many troubles physically and has been inconsistent when he's been on the mound. Maybe he's putting it all together. For the past 6 starts, he has given up 3 earned runs or less each time, and his past 3 have been the best. You look at the season-long ratios, they're not good. But again, his first couple of starts this year, knocking the rust off, getting back from being hurt all of last year basically. Not good, but he has managed to lower his ERA by almost 2 full runs, and his June ERA alone is 3.18. I've been burned before here, but I'm ready to go all in. I don't know what it is about Angels pitchers. I love Reed Detmers. I love Griffin Canning. I'm going to buy in. In fact, I already have picked him up in a couple leagues. This is the time you can get him before anybody is really all in on him. Speaking of pitchers who can't stay healthy, Tariq Skubal, the Detroit Tigers, his pitching stat line this year is nothing. Just now making some rehab starts. Doesn't have a single start to his name for this season. Been on the injured list, but now looks like he's finally set to take the mound again. He's just one of those many high-end pitching prospects that the Tigers have had the last couple years that haven't panned out. He did last year. Look, he took his lumps the first couple years, gave up 35 home runs in his sophomore season, but then last year he really kind of broke out, had 3.52 ERA, 1.16 whip. He was solid all season, and we thought he could take another step forward this year. If he can replicate what he did last year, solid ratios, give you K per inning exactly, I think you're going to be happy with the results. Now, if you're in a league where it penalizes for losses, that does hurt because he didn't even have a winning record last year despite his success, and he's in Detroit still. But look, this is somebody who we know has the talent. Hopefully he can just stay on the mound and be productive. Smart stash right now. You can put him on your IL spot for the time being if you have space. And then when he comes back, throw him right in the rotation. And I'm glad to say that now finally we've seen Taijuan Walker stay relatively healthy the last couple of years. Well, you might be wondering, where is he now these days? Well, he's in Philadelphia, as it turns out. And man, he's one of the best pitchers in the month of June in all the bigs. He's not 3 straight wins, but he's only given up 1 run in the past 20 innings. What's really surprising is he's got 21 strikeouts. This is for a pitcher who's got a 22% strikeout rate for his career. Never known to be somebody who will generate a ton of whiffs. So here's my word of warning here. I would say, yeah, pick up Walker if you didn't get him already, but the strikeouts will probably go back down, regress as usual to the norm. Also, I'm a little worried because out of those last 3 starts, well, one came against Oakland, another was against Detroit, with the Dodgers mixed in there. So his next start is scheduled to be against the Braves. That's going to be a test. I'm a little wary. I do have him already in 1 league. Not sure if I'm going to keep him in the lineup or bench him not. See what happens there. If he can manage to keep that Braves offense stymied, then maybe we have a legit rest of season rotation candidate here. And you always have to be wary of potential closer candidates mid-season. But take a hard look in Arizona at Scott McGough. He got roughed up a little bit early in the season, but he's now gone 11 straight scoreless innings, and he's pitched to a 2.72 ERA, 0.83 whip. I was a big fan of Andrew Chafin, who was the closer earlier in the season. he's been kind of inconsistent, honestly. It wouldn't be surprising if McGough became the ninth inning guy, or they're probably going to mix and match righty-lefties. Look, you need saves. You at least know you have a guy who's delivering good ratios. He's been on fire lately. So McGough looks like a smart add because at the very least you know he's helping you with the ratio. And then, last but of course not least, we've been talking about so many Cincinnati Reds lately. All these rookies are bringing up Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McClain, Andrew Abbott. I mean, this team is almost unrecognizable, except now because we've seen the return of Joey Votto. That's right. Thought Joey Bats was gone. He's back and in a big way. He wasted no time. His very first game activated this season, 2 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBIs. As much as I want to warn you away and say, he's so old and the injuries and look how bad he was last year, come on, just take a shot. Pick up Votto, even if he only gives you a few weeks of production, even if it's just a hot return, pick him up and just enjoy the ride. Those are the players I'm advising that you add if you can on waivers. These are the guys I'm telling you should either stay away from or trade.